First up, President Trump reassures the world that his stance on Taiwan won't be challenged by Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping. Here's the president talking to the press on Tuesday. Watch.
How much do you expect Xi to try to push you on Taiwan?
I don't know that we'll even speak about Taiwan. I'm not sure. I mean, he may want to ask about it. There's not that much to ask about it. You know, Taiwan is Taiwan.
Trump's remarks came as concerns rose over whether he would sell off Taiwan to get a trade deal with China. Last Friday, Taiwan said it was not worried, said in close cooperation with the U.S. But Beijing refused to back down. Hours after Trump's comments, a Chinese spokesperson said that Beijing will never rule out using force to take Taiwan. The Chinese Communist regime sees Taiwan as its own territory despite never having ruled it. Moving to rare earths, Trump inked a flurry of deals these days with Japan. Welcome to China in Focus. Taiwan as part of China and has a trade deal. What are the major sticking points that are expected to be finalized in the deal? Here's a breakdown. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said Sunday that they have achieved a trade framework for two leaders to discuss during their meeting. Under it, China would delay its export controls on rare earths for a year, and the U.S. wouldn't slap an additional 100% tariff on Chinese goods. Bessent stressed that it's still up to the two leaders to discuss the final terms.
President Trump gave me a great deal of negotiating leverage with the threat of the 100% tariffs on November 1st.
Rare earths are also a major sticking point in the U.S.-China trade. U.S. automakers and defense suppliers rely on rare earth products from China. The country controls 70% of global mining and 90% of chemical processing. U.S. reliance on rare earths from China has become an Achilles heel, and the administration has been signing deals to find alternatives and build a domestic supply chain. Also to be discussed, the fentanyl crisis devastating America.
I think we will be able to discuss them helping us get this terrible fentanyl crisis under control.
Fentanyl is now the leading cause of death in the U.S. for people ages 18 to 45. Most fentanyl precursor chemicals come from China. In 2022, the U.S. seized enough fentanyl to kill every American. Also on the table, discussions over soybeans. China has stopped buying U.S. soybeans amid a record harvest. Prior to that, about 60% of U.S. soybean exports go to China.
And I'm not going to get ahead of the president, but I believe when the announcement of the deal with China is that our soybean farmers will feel very good about what's going on both for this season and the coming seasons for several years.
Trump also said he would talk to Xi about Russia's war on Ukraine.
One of the things we'll talk about is the Russia-Ukraine. They're killing 7,000 people a week, soldiers, mostly soldiers, and we'll certainly be talking about that. He'd like to see that as very big sanctions on Russia. I think those sanctions are going to be, they're very biting, they're very strong. But I'd like to see China help us out.
Trump has also said that he would be discussing Taiwan with Xi. He was asked last Saturday if Beijing would make any moves on Taiwan.
Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I hope they won't. I think it would be very dangerous for them to do.
Are you open to changing U.S. policy on Taiwan?
Well, I don't want to talk about that now. I don't want to create any complexity.
The Chinese Communist Party sees Taiwan as part of China and has vowed to take it under control by force if necessary. The U.S. doesn't have diplomatic relations with Taiwan, but sells weapons to the island so it can defend itself. Trump also said that he could sign a final deal on TikTok as early as Thursday. Trump said he would also push for China to release Jimmy Lai. Lai is a media mogul and one of the most prominent critics against the CCP in Hong Kong. He founded the now shuttered pro-democracy newspaper Apple Daily. It remains to be seen if a deal would be made and if Beijing would make good on its promises. We'll keep you updated with the latest developments. President Trump says he plans to meet with Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang on Wednesday. The meeting comes amid Trump's Asia tour before his scheduled meeting with Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping on Thursday.
We're speeding construction of AI infrastructure, bringing production of the critical chips and semiconductors back onshore, and I want to congratulate Jensen because he's been really amazing.
On Tuesday, Huang said the company would build 7 new supercomputers for the U.S. Department of Energy. Supercomputers are commonly used in AI research. Trump also praised Nvidia's announcement that it will produce Blackwell chips with TSMC here in America. Nvidia's high-end AI chips are coveted by the Chinese Communist regime. Obtaining these cutting-edge chips would be a boost for the Chinese military. Nvidia has also been caught between U.S.-China geopolitical tensions. Next, Washington's most wanted Chinese fentanyl kingpin, Zhang Dongji, has been extradited to the U.S. That's according to a post on X last Thursday by Mexico's Security Secretary. Federal courts in Atlanta and New York have both indicted Zhang. They're accusing him of leading a massive international network of drug trafficking and money laundering. U.S. authorities accused Zhang of supplying fentanyl precursors to 2 of the largest Mexican drug cartels. According to Washington, they are designated as terrorist groups. Zhang was arrested in Cuba back in July after escaping a previous arrest in Mexico. He's now in U.S. custody following interrogation by Cuban authorities. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced Tuesday that the U.S. military carried out 3 strikes in the eastern Pacific Ocean on 4 boats. The strikes killed 14 people aboard vessels accused of carrying drugs. 1 person survived. According to Hegseth, Mexican authorities assumed responsibility for coordinating his rescue. It's not clear if that person will stay in Mexican custody or be handed over to the U.S. The action marks an increase in the pace of the strikes, which began in early September. It's the first time multiple strikes were announced in a single day. A strong show of force just 2 days before President Trump's meeting with Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping. Trump and Japan's new prime minister hailed their alliance in front of American troops in Japan. And the president signs yet another agreement to break China's monopoly on rare earth resources. NTD's Mari Otsu brings us the latest from Tokyo.
Born out of the ashes of a terrible war, our bond has grown over 8 decades into the beautiful friendship that we have. It's a foundation of peace and security in the Pacific.
Aboard the USS George Washington in Yokosuka, President Trump and Japan's newly elected Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi declare a golden age for their alliance.
This woman is a winner. So now I have a really great respect for the new and incredible Prime Minister. I have to say this, the first female Prime Minister in the history of Japan.
Takaichi vows to take what she calls the world's greatest alliance to even greater heights.
We are facing an unprecedented severe security environment. Peace cannot be preserved by words alone. Only when there is an unwavering determination and action.
Takaichi has long fought to raise Japan's defense budget and rewrite its pacifist constitution, a stance that's in alignment with President Trump's peace through strength posture.
No enemy will ever even dream of threatening America's Navy. And if they do, the American sailor stands ready to crush them and sink them and wreck them and blast them into oblivion, right?
Japan is committed to fundamentally reinforce its defense capabilities. And Japan is ready to contribute even more proactively to peace and stability of the region.
And in a move that puts steel behind that shared vision, President Trump announces the first U.S. missiles for Japan's F-45s land this week ahead of schedule.
Just want to tell Madam Prime Minister, they've been waiting for those missiles, and we got them here right away.
He also announces plans for Toyota to invest over $10 billion in the U.S.
So that's Toyota, so go out and buy a Toyota.
This comes as President Trump and Takaichi sign a rare earths framework, with both nations seeking to reduce China's monopoly in the sector, a resource that Beijing has weaponized in trade wars. Meanwhile, in soft diplomacy, Prime Minister Takaichi gifts 250 flowering cherry trees to Washington, D.C. in celebration of America's 250th birthday. And for President Trump personally, a golf bag signed by major winner Hideki Matsuyama, plus the putter of Shinzo Abe, the late Prime Minister and President Trump's close ally, which Abe used during President Trump's Japan visit. On Wednesday, President Trump jets off for South Korea, where he'll be making remarks at APEC and speaking with South Korea's president. And then on Thursday, we have that highly anticipated meeting between President Trump and CCP leader Xi Jinping. Reporting from Tokyo, Mari Otsu, NTD News.
President Trump met with business leaders. It takes healthy joints to be a co-pilot and a trusty coworker. Give your dog.
好，那个关于川学会的部分呢，现在只是现阶段的停火。你说整体要停战几乎不可能，因为双方的对抗呢，美中双方对抗已经很全面、很固化，它是2个体系之间的对抗，所以 不太可能真的休兵。第二，关于美日同盟的部分呢，川普跟这个高市早苗呢，这是两个人表现的都非常精彩，然后非常合拍。所以我觉得中共看完之后呢，觉得非常头痛，他真的大概不知道怎么去应对。这第二点。第三点，对于中台文这几篇文章呢，我们反驳几点。第一，台湾的安全威胁从哪里来？从大陆来。第二，台湾现在中共说我们和平统一，台湾要拿民主、自由、法治这些东西去换暴政跟奴役啊，真的是白痴才会做。中共讲这话，坦白说，贼喊捉贼。我最后问一个问题，就是到底怎么样更好？是台湾并进大陆，然后就世界就安全了吗？还是说中国大陆没有了共产主义，世界更加安全？这个大家都很清楚了。那讲到美国不出兵，说这个关岛以西不可能的。如果美国不出兵关岛以西的话，那美日同盟跟美韩同盟、美菲同盟全部废掉了。对，不可能的，没有这种事情。那时候纯粹胡说八道。
美军就已经在这里了。
对嘛？
对，
是Tony大哥。
对，所以整体来言呢，我看这次川普在亚洲这个 trip 对台湾是有利的，而且很清楚的，美国代表说不会用台湾来做这个跟中国谈判的筹码，很清楚的。所以呢，我相信再加上 Trump 说台湾就是台湾嘛，那这对中共来讲，这个 trip 可能在经济方面他们得了一些negotiation 的 space， 可是在 political 方面他可能失掉了一些 space。OK， 那这次访问也很清晰的是美日韩同盟的 solid alignment 更强健，更坚强。这个当然很多人很怕在亚洲美国又来一个 NATO， 可是好像就是这样子。好像就是这样子，然后对整个区域的安全，我觉得也是很好，因为大家同意中共是我们共同的威胁，我们要一起嚇阻防御，如果中共做什么事情，我们要把它打败。